Hi, everyone. Welcome to my channel. This is my first time going live. So I want to just welcome everyone. If you have any questions regarding Google Workspace, Gmail, go ahead and put them in the chat below. And that way I can keep my eyes open to it. I do have two monitors, so I'm looking at both of the screens. But yeah, I'm really excited to get started. So what I'll do so far is I'm going to share my screen. And then from there, kind of go over some of different tools and things that I've seen that some people have asked regarding Google Workspace and Gmail and so forth. And we'll start from there as everyone starts coming in. Perfect. So you should be able to see my screen. And as you can see, we have our Gmail open. And some of the questions I've got regarding Gmail is how to better organize my Gmail account. And one of the first things that I like to keep in mind that, we do like to keep our inboxes as a just in case type of situation where if we need to find something. But it's really good to use your Gmail more as a file cabinet instead of just a junk drawer. So it's good to have certain labels organized based on certain topics and things that will make it easy for you to reference in the future. And also, too, once you have those labels in place, you can go ahead and add certain filters, some trigger some things to be automatically labeled when they come in, and so forth. So I'll show you how to do that. We click on the gear here, see all settings, and you put some filters in. So when you do create a filter, you do have to build the criteria. So where's the email coming from? Who is it being sent to, the subject, so forth. So once we put in all that information, so I'll put in one now, right? And then we create the filter. And here's where we tell it what to do. So we got the triggers. Now we're saying when we do get this email from that person, what do you want Gmail to do? And again, if we already have our labels, this is where we'll put it in. So that's kind of a good way to think about when it comes to creating certain things and automating your inbox in that way. Now, Gmail also too has been updating in the recent years, especially when it comes to integrating between chat, Meet, and also Google Calendar and all these extra tools here. But what makes Gmail so great, it's very easy to use in my opinion, when it comes to being able to get what you need to do. So for example, one email here, I know once you right click it, you're able to get exactly that menu option, whatever it may be. If you need to forward it as an attachment, move it, label it, even snooze it so that you can come back to you later, all that can be done as well. And then one way for sure, you do have your quick access settings, how you want your Gmail to look. But also too, you do have a more in-depth settings. So here's where you're able to go into more depth of how you want your Gmails to be configured. You'll put your signature here as well, and so forth. So I'm going to check the chat and see if we have any questions so far. No questions as of yet, but we'll keep an eye out for it. Also, too, you can also manage your labels here as well. And then you can also set up your inboxes here. So both of them kind of give you the same but different look and feel. Now, also, too, when you are, for example, composing emails, you do have another menu here as well. Whether if you want to schedule send something, if you want to attach attachments. Also, you can put things in confidentiality mode. And this is also a new feature regarding email marketing. So this is something that maybe you can even use, whether it's announcements or newsletters. You can go ahead and do that with your Gmail. Now, one thing to keep in mind, I know it may be a bit overwhelming, these little buttons. So I'm going to go ahead just to 4 that kind of seem like you're doing the same thing, but they're not. So when you do attach something, send attachment, it is going to pull from your local device. And once you add it, for example, I'm going to add this screenshot, it will add itself as an attachment, meaning that when the person gets it, you really lose control of what they do with it, because now they can just save it, they can forward it, and so forth. Whereas if you add a link, you can actually add not only just websites, but you can add links to a Google file, a Google link, a Drive link, all that can be added here as well. So that same attachment, if I uploaded it to my Drive, I can put, see attachment here and get the link for the Drive. And then you have insert file using the Drive. It basically does the same thing. So you'll see that, for example, it will actually add it as a link, which is the same thing you'll do if it's here. But again, it's coming straight from your Drive, and it's not just a random link from anywhere. And then this one too, as well, is you can upload a photo from your local device and also URL. So all these allow you to attach things to an email, but it depends on what you're trying to do, determines exactly how you're going to send it. So attachment, you're looking at files, PDFs, Word documents that are saved on your local device, JPEGs, and maybe not JPEGs, because we could attach that as a photo and so forth. The insert link is web addresses, whether it be a website itself, a URL for a Google file. You can put that there, especially if you have like a long body email and maybe certain words you want to just add the link for to that Drive. You can do that. And then insert file using Drive, again, pulls directly from your Drive, not your local device, so that you can attach it there. And then photo is where you can go ahead and add a photo from your local device. Perfect. Again, we have our signatures. We spoke about layout. We do have set up a time to meet. So this feature is really good, especially if you need to meet with someone instead of going back and forth with times. You can either offer a time you're free, or you can actually create an event right here. So I like that. And then clicking on the 3 dots, you do have the templates. Again, you can even label your outgoing mail, and then you can request a read receipt. So really good. And check spelling is always great. Now, if you do have some third-party tools that integrate with Gmail, they will probably show up here. So I do have 2. But nonetheless, you probably won't see that for yourself. So I spent the first 10 minutes speaking on Gmail. Again, it's really intuitive with the way that it works, not only with communication, but just keeping it organized within your environment. We do have an extra minute, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about the search and how that works. So let me just make sure I'm not missing any questions. Great. So our last minute on Gmail, we're going to talk about the search here. Kind of looks the same, right, when you're creating a label, but it's not, because it's actually going to just, if you click search, it will just do that in search. So it's really good because it uses the same type of mechanisms, the same as like the Google search website itself. So even if the email has a picture with the word Google, and the word Google is not written verbally on that email, it will still pull it, because again, it's scanning not just the emails, but the images, so that you can find what you're looking for. So I think that's really cool. You can go as detailed as you like when you're searching for things, which allows you to really cut down the time. So don't just put the word here, but actually you can drill down. So now we're going to move on to calendar. And this is really good because within the calendar, you can not only just schedule events, but they've added even some more extra bells and whistles, and we'll talk about that in a bit. And feel free to go ahead and put your calendar questions down below. I'm going to switch the question at the bottom so that we can go ahead and put our calendar questions. Perfect. So now with the Google Workspace calendar, there's different ways we can go about it, but let's talk about the type of events. We're going to also talk about the settings and then some of the integrations that we can do. So within Google, you do have 6 type of events, quote unquote. You have the event itself, whether it be virtual in a conference room or actually out at a park. You can do that and create that itself. So let you know what that looks like. And as you can see, your typical way to create an event, able to attach things, add your descriptions, and so forth. And then you're also able to set up focus time that those within your team can see that you're not available because you're working on a project. You can go ahead and do that there. Of course, we all love a nice out of office, especially if we're going to be away on vacation. And what's good about the out of office, there was many times where we'll put our out of office for our emails, and then we'll get that auto response like, hey, thanks for your email. I'm not in the office now. But what's good about out of office on the calendar, even when people send you calendar invites, they may not send you an email, but if they send you just a calendar invite, they will know that you're out of office. So this is really good because people are probably just waiting for you to probably show up, not knowing, they're not ever emailing you, they just invited you, so you can get that notification on both sides. So definitely you can automatically decline new meetings, new existings, you can put your message and so forth. So really good. Then we have our working location, which is great for those who have a hybrid work environment for their employees. And they can even put in other locations. So that's really good. And then the appointment scheduler, this is good if you, some of my other videos, we talk about that, whether you want a paid consultation or having that booking page, kind of like Calendly, you can have it just like that. So this is what that is. And this is how you would create it going in. So I have a video on that already, so we're not going to go into that. But this is what that looks like. And even though you're looking at the current week now, you do have the option of having the side calendar. And if you're wondering how I have the time zones, I'm going to show that to you in a bit, how exactly I got the time zones. So then you have the meet with feature, which is really good because, again, you can figure out who on your team, when are they available. So you can kind of see their calendar and see what times is best to work with them. So really helps with just cutting down the back and forth and so forth when it comes to meeting with those in your team. And you also have the search option. So again, you're looking for an event that's coming up, figuring out the location. You can look up all the keywords. So I bet you didn't know about that one. So here you go here. And then we also, again, you can change the view. And this is new. They did integrate the task with calendar. I don't know how I feel about that yet. I'll get back to you, but it's here. So if you are using tasks within your environment, this is where you will go now to find your tasks and so forth. So let's go into the settings really quick. So keep in mind you have a general calendar settings, and then you also have your own calendar settings and also your secondary. So your primary calendar settings and your secondary calendar settings, and then your overall calendar settings. So that's where general comes in. And then that kind of tells you like the time zones, the language. This is where I added the world clocks and so forth. And then also too, your event settings, your event notifications, all that is just general overlaying stuff. And then also your work schedule, right? Here's where you'll connect your Stripe. Excuse me. Here's where you connect your Stripe account if you're doing the appointment schedules for your paid consultation. I already have a video for that. And then also too, this is where you go to your personal calendar to figure out exactly what you want to configure for that specific primary calendar. So kind of going into that, again, you got your time zones. You also can share it with those in your team, your firm, exactly all of that. I like to be notified often, as you can see. And then also too, you can figure out how exactly your notifications to come in for that specific calendar. So maybe for other calendars, you don't want to be email notified. So that all depends on how you want it to be. So this is the settings when it comes to the calendar and so forth. Now going back, we do have some side integrations. So again, we have our sticky notes. We've got our task, which kind of will sync with the calendar. Makes sense if things have due dates, right? You have your contacts. So if you need to schedule a meeting. And then the Google Maps feature is actually really cool because it allows you when you do schedule an event to add a time slot of the traffic or commute. So I already have a video on that, but this has been really one of my favorite features is adding that extra like commute time so that you can actually know when to leave and actually not book anything on your calendar when you actually need to be driving somewhere. And then we have our Zoom integration. So I'm not a purist of much. So if you do use Zoom, you can integrate it. And you do have your add-ons. And it's the same like Gmail. You can have the add-ons. Just make sure they comply with your security policy for your organization. Perfect. So we got 2 more minutes. So speaking with Gmail, another thing you want to keep in mind too, you can subscribe to other calendars. So you can actually, again, we know how to create secondaries, but you actually have other calendars that may be an interest of you. So based on religious holidays, sporting team, you can look up that, and also phases of the moon. So these are just extra stuff. And then you actually have URLs. So if an organization has their public calendar, you can go ahead and subscribe to it, using that link that they provide. Yep. And if you decide that you want to move out of Gmail, of course, you could always export your calendar. Very good. So that's basically some of the things about Google Calendar. I don't know if you guys have any questions so far, but if not, we'll move right along. In the next 10 minutes, we're going to talk about Google Drive. So let's go ahead and move to our Drive. So I have my Drive in dark mode. If you don't know how to do that, I will show you. So Google Drive has recently had a little facelift as well when it comes to just navigation and design. So we do have a home page now, which it doesn't take you straight to suggestions or your files. So you have a home page where you can see suggested files and folders. Before it would just be like suggestions, but now they kind of separate it where your folders are on top, your files at the bottom. Here's where you can also search. So this is really nice by the type, who, when was the last modified, and location, so forth. So this is really cool having this little home page. The activities, of course, shows you things of that way that's recent with you, and then workspaces. I haven't used workspaces that much. If you all have, let me know how it's working for you. I kind of have my drive organized enough to know what I need when I need it using shortcuts and stuff. But I do get the idea of workspaces, especially if you have things all in separate drives and you need, like, especially for HR, if you have certain folders and you have all those documents separated. But if you just want like an onboarding doc workspace, you can put all the templates there. I get it, but again, I haven't used it personally, so that's something you're using it. Great. We all know about My Drive, so that's your personal files and folders that you're not really, until you intentionally share with someone, it's going to stay on your My Drive. So that's that. I like to keep mine very simple and I keep everything organized. And then you also have your share drive. So this is some of the things you've seen on our tutorials. And if you want to know how to create these different themes, yeah, feel free to watch the video on that. And I also provide the Canva link. So just going into the settings, I got 10 more minutes. So just going into that, you are able to organize it numerically, which was what I've done. But when it comes to your drive, the main difference between the My Drive and the Share Drive, you want to think of share drives as something you use for collaboration, project, teamwork, or department or team, or different things that a collective amount of people need access to all at once. And what's good is that not one person is the owner of this drive, share drive. It's owned by the organization, so you can add members to it, and then you can also be able to control who has access in the drive and so forth. So things like that you can toggle off. That will be shared entirely with the whole drive setting. So you don't have to configure each single folder. You can just configure it on the top level. And then another thing too, another thing I noticed as well is when it comes to the drive, a lot of get confused of, when should I use my drive to share something. But think of two scenarios. Like if you want to just share something one-on-one, you can just use your My Drive. There's not going to be like a big lot of people accessing it and working on it. Just use your My Drive. But if you're going to need like a group or team collaboration, then yeah, I would suggest using share drives, especially even more so if you're going to be hiring outside contractors to work on things and create things. Many times I've seen people hire people to do stuff, and then when it was time the contract to be over, they kind of lost control because they weren't necessarily the owners of that folder or file. So something to keep in mind. So that's something I would advise to do as well. Now, also too, we're going to talk about the share with me setting. This drives me crazy, but what can we say? I don't like that share with me area because it's just a junk file of things that people share with you. And even if you just click on a link that's a public URL, it adds it there. I don't like it, but I get the idea of it. And we know what recent and start are. So that's that. Going into the search as well, you have all these extra search criteria you can put in place. Kind of like the homepage, but even more detailed because now you can search whether it's waiting for your approval, if it's in the trash, the words it has, it doesn't have, all that you can do here. So um, definitely don't just search here, but you can actually go into depth regarding that. Okay. Another thing I like when you're in the My Drive, and let's say, for example, you go to click on this little I dot, the information page side panel thing. I really like it because, especially if I want to know quickly who has access, where is it located, I don't have to like click on it or right click it. This eye gives me all the extra information that I need, activities on it, and approvals and so forth. So definitely use the eye icon more if you're not using it. So let's go into the settings. It's not much to it with Gmail, the Google Drive settings, but just something um, you can do when you need to be able to configure things to your liking. So we did have a question about how to share tasks within groups. So when just going back to the tasks, so here's where the tasks are. But to answer your question, I will create a space when it comes to, projects and stuff like that. Because when you do have a Google space, there's where you can actually do things for your organization and assign things to certain people. So here it has a task for the group, quote unquote, and here's where you can assign tasks to that specific people that you add. And you can also add a group email to a space. So this is something that you can possibly do when doing that. So I hope that answered the question of regarding sharing tasks with a group. I would suggest creating a space, add that group email, and then you can have the task there. Um, when it comes to that, let me also see if there's a way when we add a task. Yeah. Yeah. See, when you add it straight from here, you can't really assign it. But here, if you add a task, you can actually assign it. So, yeah, this is something you probably want to make use of using the spaces for that. Okay. So, hopefully that helped. And then now, just going back to the Google Drive settings. Again, you can. This is where I put the dark mode and light mode. This is how you can change your start page, and then you can actually toggle off show workspaces. So if you're not using it, definitely toggle that off. Less is more. How you want your PDFs to open, I like preview mode, and so forth. You can also get notified when things have been updated, and so forth. And then your third-party apps that's integrating with your Drive will be here. And like most Google apps, you do have a side integration panel. And what's good about it, every time you click on that add-on, it kind of will specify what exactly app tool. So that's Drive apps you can integrate. And yeah, all that's there again as well. So it was really great kicking this off. We didn't have much questions. And again, this is my first like ask me anything type of live. I hope to do more. And yeah, any feedback, you can leave it in the comments. Let me know, any other questions you have. If you want to do more of these, definitely trying to get myself out of my box more. But yeah, nonetheless, it was really great. And I hope you guys like the stream. And also to like, share, subscribe the channel. If you know anyone who needs Google Workspace consulting, you can contact us at hello@legally techie. We do specify for law firms, but we have been providing our services to other sectors or industries. So feel free to contact us when it comes to any of your Google Workspace needs. And we're going to wrap it up now, but this will be able on my channel. You'll be able to watch it later. So, don't worry if you missed out on some of the bells and whistles of Google Workspace. Want to see if we have one more question that may come up. And then if not, we're going to wrap it up in a minute. So feel like I should have music playing in the background, but okay. Yeah. Yep. So we answer that one question, and as of now, that's all we have. Thank you so much again, everyone, for following in. And then please follow us on LinkedIn, subscribe to our channel, and thank you so much for the opportunity to help you all.